May I have your attention, please? Please find your seats. We are ready to begin our lunchtime programming. Now, please welcome to the stage to introduce our lunchtime keynote speaker, State Auditor Jessica Holmes. Good afternoon. If the soul of a nation is to be saved, then I believe that you must become its soul. This is one of my favorite quotes from Coretta Scott King. Many of you wake up like I did this morning, wondering about your place at the table. So I'm a big believer in affirmations. So I'm going to ask you to repeat after me. I'm worthy. I'm worthy. I'm worthy. See, I believe that we are worthy of equal pay for equal work. I believe that no matter where you live in North Carolina, that you should have access to health care, Medicaid expansion. I believe that we are worthy to make decisions about our own bodies. And most importantly, I know that we are worthy of a seat at the table. We are CEOs, we are entrepreneurs, we are business owners. There are some people that don't believe that we are worthy. I've made comments accordingly, which is why I'm so grateful for the opportunity to introduce a person who looked at me and said, Jessica, you are worthy. You are worthy to sit at the Council of State table, someone who has appointed one of the most, if not the most diverse cabinets in North Carolina's history, who acknowledged that I am the first woman of color to ever sit at the Council of State table, but also was very quick to remind the media and everybody else that I do not stand before you because I am Black. I do not stand before you because I am a woman. I stand before you because I am qualified for the position. So, in terms of remixing the words DEI, which have become trigger words apparently, being used at the national stage, here's what I have to say to those people who don't acknowledge that we as women tend to have to be twice as good. My remix for DEI definitely earned it. Just like all of the individuals that the governor had appointed to various positions, I acknowledge the diversity of his cabinet. I also acknowledge that he has put forward the best cabinet that looks out for the best interests of North Carolinians. For me to run through his accolades. But what I want to share with you all may not be in his bio, or you might not be able to Google it. But Governor Cooper has 3 daughters, and he leads like it. His entire administration, he has put the needs, the rights, and the well-being of women at the top of his agenda. And in addition to that, he has made it possible for other people to stand where I'm standing. I'm a graduate of Head Start. He is an advocate in the support of early childhood development. So before there was UNC Law and UNC Chapel Hill, there was early childhood development, and there were public schools. And because of those public schools and our public institutions, I get to stand before you all today as a first generation college student, as the state auditor of North Carolina. And so I would ask you to join me and please stand and give a warm reception to a governor that said to me that I am worthy, to a governor that said to us this morning that we are worthy of his time, we are worthy of his words, we are worthy of his advocacy. Thank you, Governor Cooper, for acknowledging that we are worthy.
Thank you. Now you see why I appointed her. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining the North Carolina Council for Women statewide policy conference, where you are hearing from so many amazing women who are experts and leaders in their fields. I'm so grateful for the council for putting this conference together with my administration's cabinet agencies that supported them. I want to recognize the strong women state legislators who are in the audience today. I'm grateful for them. They are here along with other elected and appointed leaders who are getting things done, and I'm grateful for that. Of course, I want to say thank you to our state auditor, Jessica Holmes, for the introduction and for bringing her government and legal expertise to the auditor's office, where she is working every single day for the efficient and effective use of taxpayer dollars. I'm very grateful for that. She's taken an auditor's office that was in disarray with a competent but demoralized staff and turned it into a strong agency. I'm proud to have appointed her, and the people will get the opportunity to confirm that choice this November. I also want to thank Secretary Cashville, particularly, who spoke this morning, for her leadership in state government, and particularly as Secretary of the Department of Administration. She's the first American Indian woman to serve as a cabinet secretary in North Carolina. I'm grateful not just for her willingness to serve, but her readiness to blaze new trails of opportunity for all people. And I'm grateful for that. Glad to have Secretaries Hopkins, Sanders, Ishii, and Wilson here as well. I'm proud of the strong women throughout my administration and my cabinet, my Chief of Staff, former Chief of Staff Christy Jones, my current Chief of Staff Julia White, my Deputy Chief of Staff Noel Talley. It goes on and on and on. I have appointed by far the most diverse cabinet in the history of our state, but the thing that's important about that is that it is the best. It is the best in history. I'm not the best governor in history. My staff and cabinet is the best in history, and I'll put it up against anybody. State government should look like the people that it serves and protects. And when you get enough input from different kinds of people with different backgrounds and different perspectives, the result is better. This is why private companies are becoming more diverse, because it increases the bottom line for them. And I'm grateful that everybody has come together for this day. More than 7.5 years ago, I took office with a clear-eyed mission. I wanted a North Carolina where people were healthier, better educated, with more money in their pockets so they could have lives of purpose and abundance. I looked in the mirror this morning. I knew I was coming over here. I looked in the mirror thinking about that mission and that 7.5 years. And after getting past the additional gray hair and wrinkles, I smiled. We've made significant progress on all those goals. For sure, the work is far from complete, but the progress, especially with the challenges that we have faced, is remarkable. A large part of that credit goes to the smart, strong, dedicated women who have led the way in my administration and who have partnered with so many of you here today. I see Juanita Bryant down there, who was the first executive director of the North Carolina Council for Women, and I'm grateful for her longtime friendship. And I think about all of the challenges that we've had to face. In 2017, when I took office, and still today, I consider it a part of my job to look out for the North Carolina of tomorrow. So I appreciate that this conference is focused on the status of women in tomorrow's North Carolina. Looking forward is an effective way that requires evidence-based anticipation. A focus on the future, though, also requires us to look at how far we come in order to measure how high to set the goals going forward. You remember, I first took office amid the rubble of the disastrous bathroom bill. It was a difficult time for many North Carolinians, not just because of the lost jobs and money, but because of the lost belonging that far too many North Carolinians felt. Discrimination hurts. Culture wars tear us apart. I knew that we had to chart a different course for our state, and we did. We repealed that horrible bill. We aimed high. We made North Carolina an economic powerhouse with better paying jobs. We wanted to show the nation and the world who we really are as North Carolinians. And we knew that supporting women, protecting their rights, and expanding their opportunities was absolutely a key. Okay, so remember the mission statement, people being healthier, better educated, more money in their pockets. How are we working on making people healthier? Well, to help new parents bond with new babies, recover from childbirth, or adjust to adoption, I signed an executive order to provide paid parental leave for more than 56,000 eligible state employees in my cabinet agencies. That idea was so good that it was later adopted by the UNC system, and the community college system, and other agencies. And finally, even the General Assembly got on board to make this available for North Carolina public school teachers. I also, it's good stuff and smart stuff. Getting people to take state jobs is tough these days when people often can make more money in the private sector. We need things to draw people, plus pro-family things. I also issued an executive order making more accommodations for pregnant state employees. And today I'm pleased to announce that as of August 1st, North Carolina became one of the first states in the nation to extend paid leave to state employees who experience stillbirth or miscarriage. Anyone experiencing that kind of tragedy deserves the time and the space to recover as they begin the healing process. These are pro-family, pro-women initiatives that make people healthier. I'm also proud of the clean energy legislation that we got through the legislature that requires more renewable energy for a healthier environment, plus a lot of great clean energy jobs. But we know our working families bill of the decade was Medicaid expansion. This is a bill that really hits on all of our goals. And after 10 years of fighting for it, last year, thanks to many people in this room, we finally got it done. I'll never forget December the 1st, 2023, which when this program went live that morning, I was able to hand a woman from Charlotte named Penny her brand new health insurance card. That may have been my best day as governor. Today, just short of 9 months later, we have more than 530,000 people enrolled in Medicaid expansion. Think of the lives, think of the families that have peace of mind now. So how are we helping people become better educated? We know quality childcare and early childhood education is the triple play of our economy. Science is overwhelming how much children need quality early childhood education, quality childcare. We know that parents need that childcare in order to work, and we know that employers need to hire those parents. It's the triple play. And it's something that we all, in a bipartisan way, business, consumers, everybody ought to be working to make sure that it happens. We've invested almost $1 billion from federal funding for the American Rescue Plan into child care stabilization grants that have kept these early childhood education programs open and thriving during some of the most difficult times we have faced. To get people into better paying jobs, we created finish line grants to help community college students overcome last minute financial emergencies that threaten their ability to graduate. We use long leaf commitment grants to help more people attend community college to get ready for or to change their careers. So, how are we helping to put more money into people's pockets? Tens of thousands of jobs with higher wages, middle class tax cuts, vetoes of bills that rip off consumers. We've been named one of the top 3 states for business 5 years in a row, while 2 of those years we were the absolute top state for business. We're also eliminating medical debt for millions of North Carolinians crushed by that burden. This is not a debt that people choose to have. Our first in the nation plan has been now adopted by all 99 hospitals in North Carolina. And we believe that we can eliminate about $4 billion for 2 million North Carolinians and control medical debt going forward with this plan. A lot of states are saying, how did you do it? And we're telling them, we hope this is something that spreads across the country. I've been working with Vice President Harris on it as well. And to close the wage gap, I signed an executive order directing state agencies to ban the use of salary history in the hiring process that perpetuates gender pay inequity. Equal work for equal pay cannot be just a slogan. We must work to make it a reality. After more than 7.5 years of progress, I am pleased to report to you that the status of women in tomorrow's North Carolina is promising. And when I see your determined faces, I'm filled with hope that your work can bring. But we know, folks, that promising doesn't mean promised. We have fought too many decades-old battles in recent years to think that we can rest on the progress that we've made so far. That progress can be fragile, and we must defend it and watch over it closely while we do more. There are too many leaders who believe that only men should lead and not women. There are too many leaders who want the government to control your healthcare decisions. There are too many leaders who simply don't respect women unless you are living up to the ideals of what they think you should be. So in May 2023, I stood up to veto North Carolina's abortion ban. See, Congresswoman Adams there, I think you were there with me, but we had about more than 2,000 North Carolinians who stood up and watched me do it live. But I'll say this, and this is not a partisan gathering, but this is just a fact. Every single Republican in the legislature voted to override my veto. Every single Democrat voted to sustain my veto. Therefore, we have this abortion ban by one vote. Even the ones who promised not to put in an abortion ban, they still voted to override the veto, and the law took effect. But what I saw that day with all of those people, and subsequently an absolute tidal wave of energy and enthusiasm to protect and defend women's reproductive freedom in our state and across this country. And we know we cannot stop. We must keep going. The status of women in tomorrow's North Carolina depends on our commitment today to protect women's reproductive freedom. Although we've made strong investments to stabilize our early childhood education, like I talked about earlier, we know these funds are dwindling. The legislature slapped a Band-Aid over the crisis before leaving town, but all of us, business and parents, must work to keep this issue atop their priority list so that we can ensure all of our children have access to this life-changing education, and all of our families that need it can find a safe, affordable, and loving place for their children while they are at work. The status of women in tomorrow's North Carolinians depends on our commitment to this essential service. And when these young children grow up and it's time for them to go to school, we know the importance of strong public schools for them. Earlier this year, I declared 2024 the year of public schools because the future of our state goes to class every day in public schools. More than 82% of our children still go to public schools. And let me tell you, I've been in a lot of them. I love going. And what I've seen is teachers committed to teaching these children. I've seen students eager to learn. Do you know we have more nationally board certified teachers than any other state in the country right here in North Carolina? You know that we're adapting, becoming more flexible, and that last year we issued 325,000 workforce credentials in our public schools. We are supporting public schools that are doing great things, but we know they are in danger because particularly over the last few years, they have been grossly underfunded. We need to do more for our teachers. And you know, there's bipartisan agreement on how we make our public schools as great as they can be. Really, two things: a great teacher in every classroom and a great principal in every school. And we need to invest the funds to make sure that happens. But when you decide to take billions of taxpayer dollars out of the public schools and put them into unaccountable private school vouchers, you cause significant problems on being able to reach those goals that we need to reach in public schools. And what I've been working on, and what I would like to call on each and every one of you, business people should be alarmed at this. We have seen what's happened in other states with private school vouchers. Budget holes are occurring, and the measurements show that you don't get a better education that way. These private schools are just raising their tuition. It's mostly supplementing people who have already chosen private school for their children. And look, I don't have a problem with private schools. It's fine if people want to do that. We just shouldn't take public taxpayer money out of the public schools to support them. Because there's not enough. There's not enough to do that. And the evidence is overwhelming. So I want to put together a non-traditional bipartisan coalition of people throughout the state to encourage legislators to turn away from this and to make sure we instead invest in our public schools. And, I know that this has been mostly a Republican agenda, but I've heard more and more Republicans express concern about the billions of dollars that they're scheduled to do this for people in unlimited income. This really going to hurt, and it's going to hurt the rural public schools more because they're going to have that money that's gone, and many of them don't even have access to private schools. Most of those are in the urban areas, and we need to create this group of people who will talk with these legislators because they may not listen to me, but they will listen to their own constituents. They will listen to county commissioners who the school board is going to have to go to when they don't have enough money. They will listen to business leaders. They will listen to elected officials. They will listen to everyday parents in these public schools. They will listen to the employees of the public schools that this is not something that they need to do. It is a critical thing we need to do for the North Carolina of tomorrow and women tomorrow in this state. Okay, I'm putting my preacher rag in my pocket because I can do a lot more, but I'm going to slow it down because I know you got more. Today you have heard from some of North Carolina's brightest leaders who are there doing the toughest work on housing, on healthcare, on education, on justice. This is the work we got to continue. We cannot stop it. We must keep going. It's because of these leaders and all of you that I know that the status of women in North Carolina, the status of tomorrow's North Carolina, is in great hands. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it. Now I'm going to turn it over to North Carolina Council of Women Chair Annette Taylor.
Thank you, Governor Cooper, for your leadership and for your commitment to women. And I also want to thank Auditor Holmes for your presence here today and for that introduction and for reminding us that we are worthy. We are worthy. So we want to keep the celebration going. There is no way that we could acknowledge the work of the council and the policies that have changed as a result of our advocacy without recognizing others who have paved the way. So at this time, we have two special presentations today. We want to honor women who represent the mission and the values of the Council for Women. So this year, the Council for Women established the Legacy Leadership Award to recognize a woman leader who represents a lifetime achievement towards women equality in North Carolina, fighting for justice and working to eliminate barriers and inequities while embodying the values and mission of the North Carolina Council for Women. So today, we are recognizing a former executive director, Ms. Juanita Bryant. In 1993, Ms. Juanita Bryant became the executive director of the council after managing the governor's leadership development for women initiative since 1978. She served in the role as executive director until her retirement in 2000. She was also notably the first woman in North Carolina selected by a governor to chair a state board or commission. And it was the State Youth Advisory Board. At the tender age of 96, she has had a lifelong history of service and advocacy for women. So now, let us present the Council's inaugural Legacy Leadership Award to Ms. Juanita Bryant for her esteemed service to our council and to the state.
Thank you so much. And thanks to all of you for being here. I know that you were as proud as I was. Our governor spoke at the national convention. He certainly was very supportive of Pennsylvania using the state senate, and I have the privilege of working with him, and he was always very supportive and very today. It's so good to see all of you and wonderful students. You may be seated. As I'm going to talk a few minutes. I had a wonderful staff. When I was the director, I also had an excellent staff, the region level, with region offices in Charlotte, Nashville, Greensboro, Raleigh, Newbern, what? Greenville. I've been because we all did a wonderful job. And I would say, and thank you for this honor today. And I'm so happy to see all of you. I want to commend Annette for putting this program together. And doing so many wonderful today. It was especially good to see Congressman Owens. He was always very supportive of the women and women's issues. And I know that she will continue. I just want to thank all of you for your support and the things that you do. The issues concerning women. I think some of you have heard me speak in the Northfield Shopping Center to one of the little boutiques up there. And of course, I went in and made a purchase. And I handed the young woman that radioed me my credit card. And she looked at it and she said, be somebody. So all of you together are making me feel like at 96 years old, I still am somebody.
Thank you so much, Ms. Bryant, for your presence here today. Thank you so much. So we now would like to recognize another important person who also exemplifies the mission of the Council for Women. I am very proud and super honored to recognize former Chair Emerita, Jenny Black. And the most exciting thing, she's definitely a legacy, but our most exciting news today is that we want to honor her with the Order of the Longleaf Pine on behalf of Governor Cooper. Jenny Black. Jenny Black is the CEO of Planned Parenthood South Atlantic, the chair emerita, as I mentioned before, of the North Carolina Council for Women. I learned everything I know from her. She's a North Carolina native. She's a lifelong supporter of progressive movements in the state. She has for a decade provided health care for many of North Carolina's most marginalized individuals and supported Medicaid expansion. Jenny also chaired through COVID pandemic, and she has been a chief architect of the resistance to rollbacks on women's LGBT and civil rights. Thank you so much for your presence here and your leadership. Congratulations.
My God. Thank you. I've been with Planned Parenthood since 1999, dedicating most of my life and career to providing and advocating for reproductive freedom, because without that, we are not free at all. We have no ability to control anything in our lives if we can't control when or whether to become parents or to add and grow our families. Repro is a proxy for democracy itself. So it's been a life and career that has been deeply gratifying and never, ever boring. Y'all, we ought not have to fight quite this hard for our autonomy, but we do, and we will never stop. I'm a 13th generation North Carolinian, and I just refuse to not fight for it. So I was deeply honored by Governor Cooper appointing me to chair this council right after winning his election. And thank you to Annette and Lyric for your ongoing leadership. Doing this work in this place, in this moment, with this team at Planned Parenthood South Atlantic, shout out to this incredible crew right over here. Y'all, this has truly been the privilege of my whole life. So this recognition really means a lot to me. I love North Carolina. I love North Carolina's women, and I love that I get to keep doing this work with all of you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.